The Jussie Smollett saga: a look into Chicago's broken criminal justice system. Television and rad. Complex drama touches on issues from privilege in the legal system to the relationship between police and people of color. Complex drama touches on issues from privilege in the legal system to the relationship between police and people of color. Who can you trust in the Jussie Smollett saga? Kim Foxx, state's attorney for Cook County, whose office abruptly dropped all charges against the Empire actor, who allegedly faked a hate crime against himself in Chicago in January. Smollett himself, such is the dilemma herein, where just about the only thing everyone can agree on in the high-profile case is that the criminal justice system is broken. For Emanuel and Johnson, the decision was an example of the rich and famous receiving preferential treatment in the face of the law. You cannot have, but for many in Chicago and beyond, that outrage smacked of hypocrisy from a mayor who infamously sought to keep from the public eye a video of former officer Jason Van Dyke gunning down black teenager Laquan McDonald, and who has been criticized for his record on police accountability issues. Is this the same Mayor Rahm Emanuel, whose police department ran up millions in taxpayer-funded settlements for brutality and wrongful death cases? The Atlantic's Van R. Newkirk too. It is a confusing, complex situation that touches on a range of issues, from privilege in the criminal justice system to the relationship between people of color and police, and one that reflects you and could exacerbate a lack of faith in criminal justice institutions. We're talking about wide-ranging impacts that erode public trust, said Laura Beth Nielsen, a professor of sociology and director of the Center for Legal Studies at Northwestern University. It's doing more damage. The imbroglio began in January, when Smollett, who is black and gay, told Chicago police had been assaulted by two men who poured an unknown chemical substance on him, tied a noose around his neck, and shouted racial and homophobic slurs, as well as a reference to President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again slogan. The incident drew from celebrities and politicians, including Trump himself, who at the time called the reported attack horrible. But Chicago police said in February that an investigation had concluded the Empire star had filed a false report and that he had paid two men to help him stage the attack in order to further his career. The 36-year, but Joseph Magetz, the assistant state's attorney, who took over the case after Fox recused herself over apparent contacts she had with Smollett's family at the request of a former aide to Michelle Obama, Tuesday, that he would drop all the charges against Smollett in exchange for the forfeiture of his $10,000 bond and volunteer service. The office said the actor had already performed in the community. That didn't sit well with Emanuel and Johnson, who said the decision was not on the level. Where's the accountability in the system? Emanuel asked. Fox defended her office's move-in and saying Smollett's alleged crimes were the lowest level of felonies and unlikely to carry prison time, and that the prosecution reached an outcome that we could expect with this type of case. But Robert Loeb, a former assistant state's attorney in Cook County, said that the office's handling of the case was unusual. It's highly irregular, Loeb said, noting that prosecutors and Smollett continue to differ on the actor's innocence. The state's attorney's office declined to comment for this story. Patricia Brown: it is the mayor and the police chief who owe Jussie. You owe him an apology, you for dragging an innocent man's character through the mud, Smollett's team said Thursday. Jussie has paid, but questions about the case are not going away. The National District Attorneys Association offered blistering criticism of Fox's office, suggesting the public's confidence in the criminal justice system had been diminished by its handling of the Smollett charges. The case in Chicago, but for many Chicagoans, particularly black and brown residents, that was obvious before the Smollett case. It was evident in the city's handling of the McDonald killing, other police brutality cases in which activists say authorities were not held accountable, and in policies out of City Hall that critics say have ignored or worsened problems in low-income areas, such as his highly controversial. Some rebuked Rom and Eddie are both flunkies for the 1%, and I think they both have a lot of nerve criticizing Fox for doing the kind of job she was elected to do. Larry Redmond, a Chicago attorney and activist who has been critical of Emanuel and the CPD, said in an email. She has the discretion. Of course, politics, you both local and national, you have figured heavily into the matter. The Fraternal Order of Police, which had backed Anita Alvarez, the former state's attorney who was criticized for her handling of the McDonald case, in her failed re-election bid against Fox in 2016, is calling for a federal investigation into her handling of the Smollett case, saying that her office's work was highly suspicious. The entire country is outraged by it, Martin Priebe, of the FOP, told that this decision appears to be utterly arbitrary, capricious, and suspicious. The entire country is getting a window into the absurdity of the Chicago political and legal system, he added. Trump, whose right wing have Thursday that he has taken up the cause, that the FBI and Justice Department are reviewing the case. It is an embarrassment. It's unclear, except that most involved in the case will likely continue to face backlash. Fox, who, meanwhile, Chicago and the rest of the country is still looking for answers. They won't find them.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.